Hi again, welcome back to the shop. We're back again with the old Yamaha 400. Anyways, there she is. I just wanted to mention before I get on with the job a few other things I did last week that I forgot to put on the videos. And that begins with the carburetors here. I did take the float seats, the float needle seats out of the carburetors, because when I was blowing things through, I noticed that there was some bubbling coming out around the seat itself, which indicated to me that the O-rings around the seat were dirty. So I removed the seats, replaced the O-rings, put them back in, so they're all good and tight. If I'd left it the way it was, it would have wound up leaking past that float needle seat and draining down into the float bowl, giving me an unsatisfactory float or fuel level in the carburetors, which would have made it too rich. And one of the other things I mentioned or forgot to mention, was the spark plug caps. I replaced these. With my Yamaha, these were carburetor problems that I had for, I think, about 4 years. I kept thinking there was something wrong with the carburetors, and taking them off, cleaning them. The bike would work good for, I don't know, about 2 weeks, and then it would start acting up again. But when I finally got around to checking the old caps, one of them was at 5,000 ohms, but the other one was at 75,000 ohms. So no wonder I was having carburetor troubles. It was all ignition related, just on those caps alone. But the old caps, they're over here. I'm not going to throw them out. I'll put them in with the other stuff for the bike. But these are like 7,000 ohms. I think I measured them at, and I think one is 8. So they're supposed to be 5, so why block a perfectly good spark? You've already got resistor plugs on there too. So anyway, yeah, that's why I changed the plug caps. But I was looking at the bike this afternoon. I just came out here kicking around. This is Saturday right now. And I didn't realize how good a condition this machine is actually in. This is a 1980. This is a 45-year-old motorcycle. There is no rust on the front fender or the back one. There's no rust whatsoever on the headlight or the instruments or the handlebars or the exhaust pipes or the original mufflers or the chain guard. This thing is incredible. It's in incredibly good shape for something this old, So anyway, Larry's got himself a really good survivor here. And I did just check the mileage on the bike. There's only 6,000 miles on it. 6,411 to be exact. But yeah, he's got himself a good one here, because you just don't see even survivors in this kind of condition. Even the paint on the tank. Right now it's a little bit dirty from me handling it and being down in a parking basement in a garage, but the paint's in decent shape too. There's the odd little tiny nick and spot here on it, but that's something you could touch up with a little bit of black paint and a tiny little paintbrush, just a dot here and there, or even a black marker would probably hide most of that stuff. The only thing I can see that's a little bit faulty on here is that some of the shininess has gone away from the Yamaha badges there on the side. But hey, it's 45-year-old plastic. It's got to have some wear and tear on it. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that this is in such good condition for the year of the bike. It's really a good find. The only thing that isn't in nice shape is this rack. And I'm quite sure that this rack was not made for this bike. It might have been made for something similar, but it doesn't exactly fit like it should, because it crams into the top of that shock shroud there on the top. And anyway, I scrubbed at this a little bit with a brass wire brush, but there's no way you're ever going to bring that back to looking like new. I mean, if this was my bike, I'd just take that off and throw it in the bin somewhere, maybe save it for if you do any touring. But you know, it's a whole lot of ugly on an otherwise really pretty bike. Anyway, that's enough of my opinions. So I'm going to get on with finishing and tuning up those carburetors and checking the timing just to make sure that it is right. I'm quite sure it is, but I won't be satisfied until I put the strobe light on it. And there seems to be a few little issues with some of the lighting, but anyway, the headlight and tail light do work anyway, but I can't seem to get the flashers to work, but that's probably just something small. Anyway, I'll get to that when I finish getting the engine tuned in well. So here we go. We finally got another break in the rain, which I will happily take. But anyway, let's see. I've got the machine all ready to do a sync check on those two carburetors. It's real simple when you only got two carbs, and there's only one adjustment screw right down there between the two carburetors that you have to adjust. You just adjust that until the two needles are pointing in the same general direction. For example, if it was pointing at 20 kilopascals on the idle, then you adjust that screw till you get 20 on the other side, right? So you're just bringing them up so you have the same vacuum on each carburetor, and that way, you know, they're synchronized. So anyway, I'm going to start the bike up, hopefully, and get these synced up. Okay, got the idling a little low right now. I'll just check that ignition time and just to make sure it's all right. All right, I just finished strobe checking the timing, and it was pretty close, but it wasn't quite perfect. There's a little mark in there with an LF on it, and that's the one you want it to fire at when it's idling. So I did have to make a slight adjustment to that. Not too far, just it was slightly retarded, so yeah, I advanced it a little bit more, got it up on the mark. So I don't know if that came that way from the factory or if someone changed it somewhere along the way, but anyway, I'm going to put a little mark on the timing plate with a marker and just scribe a line through it. So if anybody ever does have to take this off again, all they have to do is just align that plate with the mark, and that's it. So things are coming along better. One more thing I want to do, I want to check the actual fuel level in these float bowls, because the book I've got, it's really unclear when it comes to a designated float height. So I did get a definite answer for a fuel level in the carbs. It's supposed to be 2 millimeters below the gasket surface, which is right about there. So I'm going to hook up a piece of tubing with a clear tube in it so I can see just exactly where that fuel level is. And if I need to, well, I'll take carburetors off again and adjust the floats accordingly. Okay, now on these bikes, checking the fuel level is pretty easy, because you have a nice little drain screw right here that will drain the carburetor, but it comes out in a nice little spigot where you can fasten a clear hose on. Then you hold the hose beside your carburetor float bowl. Where am I here? Come on, get focused in there. There. Now you can see the if I move the hose up and down, the fuel level in the hose is going to go up and down too. Come on, focus in. There we go. So that's about a 1/4 inch below that gasket surface. So I'm going to have to take carbs off and adjust those floats just a little bit, because they say it's supposed to be 2 millimeters below. That's about half of what I've got here right now. So this could cause a slightly lean condition, especially with the engine at idle. And so I think I'm going to take carbs off again. It's not a big job on these bikes, so I'll just whip them off, pull bowls off, adjust the floats a little bit so that I get a slightly higher fuel level, and then things should be back to where they should be. I'm just going to check the other side, of course, first. Make sure I may only have a problem with one carburetor and not both of them, so I'll check the other side before I pull the carbs off. Well, it's a cold, dreary day out there. I spent the morning in the kitchen, did up an apple crisp and that sort of thing. But, I decided now, it's time to get out here in the garage and do a little bit of work. The boss has a project for me too, so that involves a little bit of welding, so I'd like to get that done. But anyway, took carburetors off, brought them over on the workbench to reset the floats, which I set according to the book, but the book is wrong for this particular model. So anyway, that's why I was doing that fuel level check there. So alright, so I decided that I would just time myself to see how long it takes to get these carburetors off, because I know it's not a big job. And I had, by the time I started to the time I put these on the bench, it took 3 minutes. So all I can say is try that with a 4-cylinder Honda, like a 354 or a 554 or something like that. You ain't gonna get those off in 3 minutes unless you're using dynamite. Okay, well, other than the seat and side covers, it's all back together. Just give her a little run up. So I figure she's ready for a road test the next day that the sun comes out, and that might be as early as tomorrow. They are saying we might get a break in the cloud and the mess. It can be very dreary around here this time of year. But anyway, I polished up that cover a bit and that cover there. So anyway, he can clean up the engine himself, and I just wiped the dust off the pipes and off the fenders and stuff. But it, like I said before, it really is a really clean little bike, a heck of a good survivor. So yeah, I figure a couple of hours with the right stuff and he could have those engine cases just a gleaming. So yeah, I just got to get it out on the road and give it a little run and see what happens. All right, there she is, all back together, seat side covers, everything. They even put the mirror. That's the original mirror off my 75 650. You can't keep that, Larry, but I'll use that for test driving. Anyway, she's all together now, ready for a road test. So let's get her outside and see what happens. Okay, there's the little bike. Just brought it back from a test drive. Plugs are burning nice and clean. Bike's pulling strong and smooth. Pretty hard to ask for more. It does hang up just a little bit above idle sometimes, but it drops back to idle pretty quickly. So I've done everything I can do to it. So it's running as good as I can get it to run, in other words. So I think I'm going to give Larry a call, tell him he can come and pick it up anytime he wants. But in the meantime, be good to each other. We'll have something for you next week. Thanks for watching. All right. One more little clip onto this video. I wasn't quite satisfied with the way the bike was running with that hung idle and stuff, so I know that that's caused by a lean condition, especially at idle. So anyway, I did the usual checks with the penetrating oil, that kind of stuff, spraying that around the joints and all that stuff, around carburetor boots, anywhere where there might be a leak. And anyway, I didn't find anything made any difference, but then I remembered that the two pilot screws on these carburetors did not have the little teeny tiny O-ring that goes on them to stop air from getting in the carbs. Now, I've worked on a lot of these type of carbs with that exact same type of valve on it and never had any trouble with them drawing air down into the system. But this time I did, because when I put my finger over the hole where the screw goes in, especially on the right side, and rev the engine, it would just drop right back to an idle like nobody's business, right? So I said, aha. So there's two ways of curing that. You wait for a couple of weeks for carb kits to come in so you can get those two teeny tiny little O-rings and put in there, or you just go ahead and make a couple of plugs out of O-ring material and plug those holes where the screws go down in. Stops the air from getting down in there, solves the problem. So anyway, that's what I did. The bike, you can rev the snot out of it now and it'll just drop right back to idle just like it should. And the idle is nice and smooth and it just putters along. So I am now waiting for a nice day, or a reasonably nice day at least, where I can get this out for one final road test before I let Larry know that he can come and get it, because I really would like it to be perfect before he takes it home. But the weather around here, we've got about maybe 5 nice days all through the month of May, and it's just depressing because May can be a very sweet month this time of year. But this year, it's just been nothing but rain. Like I say, we've had about 5 nice days all month long. But anyway, there may be a break in the clouds tomorrow. I might get a chance to get out on this little machine and give it a try. So hopefully I do. And if I do, I'll make one more clip in this video just to let you know how that worked out. So thanks for being patient with me. In the meantime, let it rain. All right, well, it's not the greatest day, but the rain did let up a little bit and the road dried up enough for me to decide to go for another little test drive on that nice little Yamaha. Anyway, it is a nice little Yamaha. Seems to be working a lot better now. The idle isn't hanging up like it used to. So, yeah, I think the bike is good to go. So, I'll finish up this video and give Larry a shout. Tell him he can come and get it. Anyway, thanks for watching. And like I said before, be good to each other. And we'll have something new for you next time.